most people in my experience don't really do time planning the right way. That's kind of an arrogant comment, so maybe I should repackage that. The best way to do time planning that I've found is to plan your week and not your day. I mean, you kind of have to do both probably, but really that focus of the week is really important. And if you can imagine a spreadsheet where you've got time on the vertical x-axis and days of the week on the horizontal y-axis, what you do is somewhere in your week, you pick 2 15-minute segments and you just study something about investing. It doesn't have to be stocks. It can be anything. Just read some articles, go to the internet, review Desert Pencil, whatever. But this small, consistent practice over time is the thing that will build your competency. And once you get better at something, you're going to want to do it more because you're better at it. I mean, this is just how learning goes. And I've been in education for over 30 years, complete accident on my part. But the thing I've learned about adult learners is, we go to these continuing ed things like, oh God, this is just amazing. So the best thing ever, or whatever it is. And a week later, the rubber band just snaps back and they're just doing the same thing or not doing the same thing. Okay. So what I love about doing this and you guys showing up is it's consistent, and some more than others, that's fine. But this 15 minutes twice a week deal, it's a big thing, and I encourage you to check it out, okay? All right, the next thing is draw the line. Okay, now this is kind of a morbid thought, all right? But I think it's worthy. I learned about this a million years ago. So what you do is you get a piece of pen and a paper, and you draw a horizontal line. Okay, that's all it is. And you put 2 X's on it. 1 X, the first X, you put as far as the line of your life where you think you are right now. And the second X at the end is when you anticipate you will no longer be alive. And the idea behind that is it puts some guardrails, some parameters around, here's how much time you have to do this. Okay, now I opened this up and I said it's kind of a morbid thought, okay? And I think it was last week or maybe the week before, I did just some simple homework. Actually, I was talking to Kelly, and actuarially, men die at 77 on average and women die at 84. So if we just use those numbers as an example, and I'm a woman and I'm 64, I go, okay, I'll plan on 20 years. If I get a little extra mileage, awesome. If it's a little sooner, okay, whatever. But the idea is you tune your mind into, this is how much longer I have to invest. And investing and Desert Pencil and time value of money and all the stuff that I do and that I teach, you got to have that time piece. You got to know what your horizon is. At least set a target. That may not be what it ends up being. Okay. But if you want to set a goal and say, this is what I want, time is just indigenous to that whole decision. So this notion of draw a horizontal line, this is where I am, this is when I think I'm done, it's just a way to do it, or whatever method you want. But I think just going, I'll live another 20 years, that's not as good as kind of seeing visually what it looks like. I think the visual piece helps people just be more real and more honest.
Yeah, Joe, I saw a guy, just brief interruption, he used a paper tape measure, and he dropped it, he pinched it at the age of 77 or 80 and held it up, and he says, right now, I'm 60, ripped it off and dropped it. That's what I got left.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and those of us in our 60s or plus or close to it, that's the way it is. So, okay. Number 4, time value of money. I can't say enough about, you got to learn how to do this, and you need to be good at it. You need to be adept at it. This is a foundational skill in course 1 and course 2. All of you that taken Desert Pencil. I'm going to build just another time value of money course just for the masses because it's just so damn important. And if you don't want to spend $6 and get a calculator app. I'll give you a spreadsheet, whatever. You can't do it in your head. But this is the one thing that I've learned in all the years and all the 50,000 people I've taught Does It Pencil. Most people never seen this before, but you use it all the time. That's the great irony of Does It Pencil. And it's one of those things where people say, oh, well, I've got to go hire somebody else who's smarter than me. No, you don't. Because the truth is, and I don't say that facetiously, I say it honestly, the truth is that person you hire is probably no smarter than you. They just, learned how to use a calculator, a spreadsheet. It's not that hard. You got to learn how to use it. And again, my argument is in investing, there's the time piece and there's also the rate of return piece. And that's what you need time value of money for. Okay, and we've talked over the last year about different rates of return that are reasonable and available and decent aspirations to have. And this knowledge set of the marketplace combined with the competency of time value of money, you can write your own book. Just go, because look, what this comes down to, this whole investing thing, okay, it comes down to a couple pretty simple things, all right? Number one, you want more money left at the end of the month. Okay, so that's a little wordplay. What does that mean? You want to outlive your money. That's really all this is. Okay, and I've said this a million times. If you have $1 the day that you die, you won. And we want to have more than one, but want to have at least one. That means that you outlived your money. Okay, that is your first responsibility to yourself. And those of us who are, people pleasers, yes, people putting everybody else's needs before themselves. This isn't therapy, but it kind of is. You've got to take care of yourself first. And then you can take care of everybody else. Okay? But to do that taken care of, and we talked about this last week, one of the things you got to know is, what does it cost me every month to live? Most people don't know. We already talked about that. You got to get that piece figured out. How long do I think I have to live? Got to get that piece figured out. Okay? And the rest of the pieces of the puzzle fill themselves in. Right? This stuff all kind of plays together. But knowing time value of money, it's just that magic key that will it will give you a sense of peace that only Jesus can, I guess is all I can think of. That was a bad analogy. Sorry, but you get my point. Mercedes, no side comments. I just did the best I could. Okay, number 5, dive. So what do I mean by that? Very simple. Invest in things that you know and understand. And I have an option for you if that's not your thing, but this is the one I'm talking about now. If you are the market expert in real estate in your town or your neighborhood or whatever your sphere of influence is, use that. That's an asset. Invest in it. But if that's what you know and you're the best at it, don't go invest in orange orchards in Miami, because you don't know a damn thing about orange orchards in Miami or pork bellies or whatever. Okay? Learn something, learn it well, be the expert in that, and then invest in it. And this is what professional investors do for the most part. Okay? Now they can go in and learn industries and read balance sheets and P&Ls and get on corporate calls and all the things that Wall Street people do. But the basic idea is you look at an industry as a whole and then how companies are performing inside that industry. And that's a really, really important postulate of investing. And I know most of you are real estate people. Okay. People want to come and invest in real estate. You're the expert. Well, if you really are the expert, why are you selling all the good deals to somebody else? Just something to think about. Okay.
What's the alternative?
I'll get there.
You said you had an alternative.
I'll get
for
there.
us.
I'll get there.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
on my way.
I thought you were moving on. Sorry.
Little miss extra credit. Okay. Next one. This is a really simple one. It's really cool if you've never used it. It's called the Rule of 72. And the Rule of 72 is a very simple rule that is designed to teach you how long it will take for something to double. It's a division problem. So if you can earn 8% on your money, 72 divided by 8 is 9. It'll take you 9 years to 2x your money. It's the rule of 72. It's a basic math thing invented in I think the 1600s or the 1400s by an Italian friar of all people. So it's been around for a while. But it's how long it takes you to double your money. So you take your number that you've got and you divide it into 72, and that's what it'll tell you. Okay? Now, it kind of works in ways you don't want it to as well. Let's say that inflation is 6%. It'll take 12 years for you to lose half of your purchasing power, because 72 divided by 6 rather is 12. So at the end of it, it's a doubling or halving, and you divide the number by 72. It's called the rule of 72. And if I didn't explain that well enough, we're done here. Just take a minute and go look it up. It's a good thing to know how to do. Okay, Christine, this bud's for you. If you want to invest and you don't want to get all in the weeds about, AI and tech and pork bellies and organic crayons and whatever else the world is doing, and I've said this before, invest in the S&P 500. Okay, now that's going to be a longer term investment. That's what I call future you money. And as Christine and I have talked, and some of you other people, you have people younger, kids, nephews, nieces, grandkids, whatever, 100% get them on the damn S&P this year. I talked to my old real estate broker last night, who ironically was one of my babysitters, because she's about 10 years older than me. Yeah, I'm 7, she's 17. And she has a 22-year-old who is, off his first job on his own, taking care of himself. I'm really proud of him. It's great. He had kind of a tough childhood, but he's crushing it. And so we were talking about that last night, and I said, Heidi, here's what you give him for Christmas this year. And she's like, what? And I go, I know how much you love him and you want him to have a good future. You open him an IRA, you tell him about the S&P 500, and you tell him to pay himself 10% every paycheck, no matter what. I sent her the link for the spreadsheet, desertpencil.com/retirement. It's there for everybody. Makes a difference. So the S&P 500 is the top 500 companies, and it rotates every year. It doesn't stay the same. So you're always getting the best of American companies. And compounded over time, historically, since 2008, it's earned almost 12% per year. So if you use the rule of 72, if you would have invested all your money in 2008 in the S&P, it would have doubled in 6 years. And that's not bad. It's good. Okay. Let's talk about getting dumped. Anybody ever been dumped? I know I have, too many times. Learning how to emotionally deal with mistakes is a huge part of being a successful investor. If you're a stock market person, you don't have as much control as you do in real estate, usually. But over time, you're going to make mistakes. Now, I'm not saying do it intentionally. What I am saying is it's going to happen over time. And developing that emotional fortitude to be able to accept losses, to not hide under your bed, move back home with your parents, whatever it is, to get back up and get back in the game. It's probably one of the top 2 or 3 skills that every successful investor has, because it happens to everybody. I haven't studied all the history of investors ever, but I've studied probably 10 or 12 very important people. And it's the one thing they all have in common. At one point, they lose almost everything. Then they come back. Hey, it happened to me. Learning how to deal with those parts of investing, I think, is just as important as learning all the technical stuff, time value of money, how to make, technical decisions, things like that, because things are going to happen. It's going to happen. And learning how to deal with it is super important. Okay, let's talk about quickly finding an advisor, someone that you trust to invest your money. And some of you know that this spring I fired somebody. And, I didn't hire him going, oh, I can't wait to dump you. That's not what happened. But it did. And sometimes things don't work out for a variety of reasons. But what I wrote for this week's blog, and I'll just tell you, just a couple of selection criteria. So one of them, I think, is good chemistry. Having chemistry with your advisor, I think, is really important. You guys get along. And that includes having interests outside of just money. Okay, I think that really matters because these are human beings having a relationship. I think having similar philosophies about investing is really important. If someone comes up to me and goes, oh, I picked every winner in the last 5 years, I'll make you 50% of your money this year. Number one, you're probably, well, I'm not saying you're lying, but that's not likely to sustain. And that's not really my philosophy. It's not what I believe about the future. So that's probably not a match for me. And then I think another really important thing to think about with these, I'm talking about financial advisors like insurance people, stock people, that kind of thing, is the level of services that they provide. Because some of them provide way more services than you probably need, and they charge for it. Okay, so being really honest about, I need this, I don't need that. Now, I've told you before, I have businesses, I have real estate, I have a stock portfolio. I believe in approaching financial stuff that way. My personal choice, and you do what's best for you, but my personal choice was to go with Schwab for that part of my overall portfolio because they let me select how much service I want, and they charge accordingly. Okay. Let me just say something about this because I'm looking at the audience and I know some of you have parents that are getting, older. People's minds are not as good in their 80s and 90s as they were in their 20s and 30s. It's called dementia, Parkinson's, all this stuff, right? And so I think it's really important within these conversations of picking someone to be a money manager or a financial advisor. Does your situation warrant eventually having a trustee or someone who has the general durable power of attorney? And everybody's story is different. Everybody's family is different. But I've been around a lot of this for a long time. And I would tell you that more times than not, there's so much family politics around this that it's sometimes a good idea to pay the extra point or whatever it is and just hand it off to a third party who's not related to, well, the kids mostly, or the person, the testator, not the testator, the beneficiary if it's a trust. These are difficult decisions. They just are, but they're damn important. And so I think if you find yourself for your own portfolio or a parent or relative's portfolio, just kind of keep tucked in the back of your mind as time marches forward, there might be need for someone to more actively manage and not give so much responsibility or freedom to someone who may not be able to do it anymore. Okay, I think I've said enough. I think you get my point. Just wanted to say that. Okay, almost done. Next one. Know your stage. What does that mean? In Does It Pencil, I teach what's called life stage investing. And there's basically 3 stages. It's very simple. And I break it down by very simple age boundaries. 25 to 40, 40 to 60, and 60 plus. Those are just very soft lines. They're not hard lines. But the basic idea is this. When you're at the age of 25 to 40, you should be investing for aggressive growth. Why? Because you have more time left to make up for mistakes. When you're 40 to 60, you should be investing for a combination of growth or appreciation and cash flow. And when you're 60 plus, most of your investment should be in cash flow. Now, those are not hard and fast rules, but they tend to work pretty well. So that's what I call life stage investing. And that's a really, really important thing for all of us as advisors sitting down talking to somebody about where and how to place their money. Okay? Because different investments perform differently. You know, I'll just give you an example. So if I've got, we'll just say $1 million to pick a number, and I go to Christina and go, oh, I want to invest in Tri-Cities. She says, well, I've been talking to the Washington Department of Transportation, and in 5 years, they're putting a brand new freeway off-ramp here off of I-182 or whatever it is. I'm like, cool. Go buy me the farm, literally. Okay. Well, that means that in 5 years or 8 years, that probably will be worth way more. Okay. Well, that's an appreciation play. And I should only do that if I can maintain my life for, in my example, 5 to 8 years without the $1 million. Okay. Or I go to Michael, I go, Michael, I got $1 million and this is all I got, and I'm 62 and I got to live on this. Michael goes, aha, you're going to invest for cash flow, also known as cash on cash. So we're going to drive around the state because you can't find it in Bellevue. We want to find something that will give you at least 10% cash on cash. So my $1 million will pay me $100,000 a year. I may not get any appreciation, but I'll get some cash flow. Okay. Or I'll go to Chris and he'll go, well, I had a girlfriend in Seattle. I had a girlfriend in Tri-Cities. I know the whole state myself. He says, you should be investing rather for a little bit of appreciation and a little bit of cash flow. Perfect. Okay. So knowing your stage, knowing your risk level, understanding how markets work. This is some of the education I bring you guys every week so you can think about this when you're talking to clients going, oh, I want to invest in real estate. And, you know, some people that walk in Desert Pencil don't know any more than their clients do. Well, that's not good. But the first question really, and it always remains the first question is, what are you trying to do? Appreciation, cash flow, or the combination? It's how I open every class. And some people go, yes. No, no, that's not the answer. Which one? Anyway. Okay.
Did we miss tax efficiency?
That's coming up next. Thank you. Tax efficiency. Okay. So in Desert Pencil, course 3 is the tax course. And the beautiful thing about course 3 is that it focuses very specifically on business, even more specifically on real estate, the tax code, the tax laws, the tax calculations. So you understand that built into the tax code are real, live, legitimate tax incentives to allow people to lower tax liability as investors. Okay, this is the laws of the United States. And most people don't know that they don't know what they don't know, but that's what you learn in course 3, right? There are tremendous tax benefits, but you have to set up your affairs the right way, okay? That's in real estate. There's also tremendous tax benefits and tax efficiencies in other financial markets as well, okay? I mean, there used to be, and I have to look this up again, I don't remember, but back when I was doing taxes, this is in like the 90s, early 90s, you get a $10,000 tax credit for buying an electric car. That was a long time ago. I don't know. I don't think that incentive is still there.
7,500 now.
How much is it?
7,500. I don't know if
okay.
2025 it's still in effect, but last year it was 75.
Okay. Yeah. So governments give incentives, you know, by way of lobbyists and what have you, but governments give incentives to get the people to do something. It's a tax benefit. You know, when I took my IRS enrolled agent training 20 years ago in Las Vegas, the first thing the guy said, the instructor, it was like a 3-day intensive. He goes, the tax code is a form of social engineering. And I thought, well, I never thought of it that way. I guess you're right. Because when the government wants you to do something, they give you a tax incentive. When they don't want you to do something, they give you a tax penalty. It really is a system of carrots and sticks. It really is. So it's pretty good. I got my 20 minutes left for you guys. How about it? Yeah, thanks, Bill. So that's 10 things to think about. And I think those are very evergreen. I put 2025 on them because it's more sexy, but I think they're very evergreen. And these are mindsets. Is how you think about things. You know, the old saying, a mentor of mine says, change your mind, change your life. And for 35 years, I've been walking into rooms or Zoom or whatever, and people go, oh yeah, I want to make more money. Then you have to start thinking differently. That's where it starts. You have to start thinking differently.